Hello and welcome to the Sunday morning betting show powered by FTN. Meaney, Matthew Freedman, and Eliot Crist here with you for the next 30 minutes or so, breaking things down in the NFL. We're going to come at you with our favorite spread, our favorite total, and our favorite prop. We'll get some Sunday specials, some long shot parlays towards the end of the show. If you're taking in the Miami-Jacksonville game, well, decent start. Oh, big catch there from Gesicki. 7-3 Miami. We are going to not give you play-by-play on that Dolphins and Jags game. We're going to give you some winners here, hopefully. We have a lot over at FTNBets.com. If you're looking to be part of the FTN fam, check out FTNBets.com/pricing. Use that promo code FTNWins to get 10% off. You're not just going to get our NFL picks, everybody's NFL picks, everyone's picks across every sport over at FTNBets.com. Matthew, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I know that's not a ringing endorsement. The
No.
London games, I feel like always throw off my Sunday morning schedule in terms of just like when I'm doing rankings and updating stuff. But anyway, I'm dug in. I'm going to survive. Let's get through this.
Eliot, you are going to back the Chiefs here today. I got a pretty good feeling of that.
Not on the spread, but yeah, I'm sorry, Matthew McConaughey, Matthew Freedman, just all right is the only thing those guys say. I'm doing amazing on this Sunday though. I'm happy we got football. It's a 10-game slate, so I never thought I would say this as a child, but as an adult, thank the good Lord for bye weeks. It makes the workload a little bit easier.
Yeah, well said, sir. Why don't you kick us off here with your favorite spread of the day?
Yeah, so I love the Panthers plus 2.5. To me, this feels like the wrong team is favored in this game. I'm not. The Vikings should have lost to the Lions last week. They're not the defense that they were hyped up to be. Dalvin Cook battling injuries is going to play this week. Justin Jefferson missed a lot of practice time. He's going to play this week. But the Carolina Panthers should have had that game against the Eagles last week. Darnold obviously made a couple bad decisions, blocked punt, but they were clearly the better team against the Eagles. Not that necessarily that's a big accomplishment, but this team really should be 4-1 and 4-1 against the spread at that. I think we are continuing to underestimate the Panthers, whose defense is not what it was the first 3 weeks, but they are a legitimate unit that'll force a lot of pressure. They, in my opinion, have the better coaching staff. They're at home. I would line this game Panthers minus 2.5. So having it be the other side, just to me, seems like too much value to pass on.
Yeah, I agree, man. That Minnesota defense is not good. It's something that I think you and I and a couple other people in the Discord channel talked about before the season started, that the Minnesota defense not all that good. Yeah, Minnesota's finding a way, man, to squeak out these wins. And you can only do that so often, I think, in the NFL before it kind of catches up to you. Freeman, what do you got for us?
I just want to say I'm also with Eliot on that. Do like the Panthers quite a bit at plus 2.5. And even without J.C. Horn, they've been pretty decent in defense the past 2 weeks. So with him on that one, I'm looking at the Browns -3 now across the industry. Originally, I've gone back and forth on this game. Originally, last Sunday night, I placed an early bet on the Cardinals at +3. I thought there was a better chance of early movement taking the line towards +2.5 than +3.5. And that is the way that the line moved. And the rationale at the time, Cardinals 4-1 against the spread as underdogs under head coach Cliff Kingsbury. They're 9-3-2 as road dogs again against the spread. And then we got news of COVID cases, and then sack master Chandler Jones was going to be out, and then reports that Kyler Murray was dealing with shoulder injuries. Just like that's what caused his play to decline last year. So at that point, I bought out of the Cardinals position, and then news broke that Cardinals head coach Cliff Kingsbury would be out, as well as quarterback coach Cam Turner. So then it's like, who's calling the offensive plays for this team? It's probably offensive line coach and run game coordinator Sean Kugler, who doesn't call plays. And in general, I think as little respect as I have for Cliff Kingsbury as the schemer and the in-game strategist for that team, I still think it's better to have a subpar play caller who creates the offense and is used to calling plays versus some guy who never calls plays being the one who's calling plays. And then we have bad weather in Cleveland, heavy winds. That is going to impact the Cardinals more than impacts the Browns, who figure to run the ball. So, I mean, I've changed the way that I'm viewing this game based on the circumstances that have changed throughout the week. But I mean, I think this game should be closer to Browns -5.5 than -3, 3.5. So I do like the Browns given all of the adversity that has hit the Cardinals over this past week.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I bet Arizona earlier in the week at 3.5, but like you said, I mean, a lot has happened since that line has come out. I mean, no Chandler Jones here for Arizona too, I think is pretty huge. I've been to First Energy Center a couple times. Don't judge me. It's actually a pretty decent place to go watch a football game. I mean, Cleveland fans are great. They're awesome. I mean, they've been through so much through the years that like nothing can phase them. Even when they're losing by 30, 40 points, they're having a great time. But it is tough for a lot of quarterbacks. I've heard visiting quarterbacks say after the game that they didn't expect it to be that challenging to throw the football. Like it's right off the lake and it's super windy, and you're talking about the weather there. So we could see, you know, Kyler with that shoulder, we could see that offense struggle a little bit. And Cleveland just does such a great job of running the football, even down Nick Chubb. What a luxury to just throw out Kareem Hunt out there and, you know, have him touch the ball 20 plus times in that offense. I'm going to go with Dallas here, guys. I don't know if this is a trap. When I first saw all the spreads came out, I was just like, Dallas 3, and it's now 3.5. I know a lot of the money is coming in here on the Cowboys. You know, I've really changed my tune with Dallas over the first couple of weeks. I knew that they could cook on offense. I knew that they could be efficient. I didn't think that they would just abandon the pass and run the football as much as they have, but they're having a lot of success doing that. We've talked about it on this show before, just how Dak is totally in control in this offense. And on the other side, the defense is playing really good. Yes, I believe in Dallas. It's more so that I just don't believe at all in this New England team. This Patriots 6.7 passing yards per attempt is among one of the worst in the NFL. And then you have Dallas at 8.7 yards per pass attempt is one of the best marks in the NFL. They're fourth in pass DVOA. They're third in rush DVOA. New England, in terms of offense, on the other side of that in the bottom 10. And how about just the turnover differential with both squads here? You got Dallas +7, which is the second best mark in the NFL. They're number 1 in picks. They're number 2 in takeaways. And then for New England, 28th in turnover differential. They're top 5 in interceptions. They got 4 fumbles, which is 1 off the league high. Overall, 9 turnovers, which is 3rd in the NFL. I don't really believe in Mac Jones. He's going to have to throw the football here. I don't know where their run game is going to come from. Maybe Damian Harris right away is going to be game scripted like he's been over the past couple of weeks as well. So I got to go with the better team here. I'm not worried that the line has gone to 3.5. I think that they win by a touchdown here. Freedman, you're the Dallas guy here. Are you backing me here with the Cowboys? You're shaking your head. No, come on, man. Dallas getting it done here today.
Yes, but I am 0 for 5 on betting Cowboys games. And the fact that I am now on the Cowboys should probably terrify you. It terrifies me, but I see all of the things that you see. What does scare me a little bit is that the Cowboys are still really prone on defense to giving up yardage. They are living, as you mentioned, they are living on turnover luck. And maybe it's not luck. Maybe it's something that is sort of like a ball hawking feature of this defense, but it is hard to live on turnovers. And so I'm just scared that if we see a situation where Mac Jones doesn't turn the ball over, if Damian Harris doesn't fumble the ball in key moments, maybe the Cowboys defense that is allowing teams to drive against them, maybe they're not able to stop and we do get a backdoor cover or something like that. I don't know, but I'm with you, but I'm scared of what the Cowboys might do to me.
Don't be scared. Don't be scared, brother. 5-0 so far this season, the Cowboys against the spread. The Pats have been held to 21 or fewer points in 8 of their last home games. And if that's the case, I think we get this number because I do believe Dallas will score at least 24 here today. Eliot, what do you got for us in terms of a total?
Yeah, so I'm going to go with a team total. I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs over 30.5. That's a big number, but there's a lot of things I like about it, right? Obviously, pace of play, this game's going to be solid, not great, but the thing that we like is that both defenses have been abysmal. Both teams are 4-1 to the over. Washington games in general are going over by nearly 12 points per game. That's absurd. But from like a matchup standpoint, what I love is that one of the things that teams have done to adjust to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs this year is they have not blitzed them. They're blitzing them at a much lower rate. However, Washington blitzes at a top 3 rate. And what Mahomes has had so much success doing this year and last year is that when you do blitz him, you send the extra defender. He picks you apart, and he picks you apart in a big way. He's averaging like 7.5 yards per attempt, not against the blitz this year, over 10 yards per attempt against the blitz. And his completion percentage jumps by about 10% as well. So like we're talking about a guy that hits big plays, and the Chiefs are reliant on those big plays. And when you get big plays, I mean, this is simple, but when you go down the field quickly, it allows for more time in the game to hit more plays, right? More play volume. So the fact that Washington their pass defense is abysmal. They're going to blitz Mahomes heavily. I love the Chiefs to score a lot of points today, and I'll take, even though it's a big number, over 30.5.
Yeah, and I mean their defense has allowed them, as you said too, to force them to throw the football here a little bit more. And who knows how much success they'll have on the ground. I mean, I like Darrell Williams. I mean, I think he can get to 13, 14 carries. I believe his rushing yard prop is like 12 and a half now. I think it opened up at 10 and a half or something like that. But he may just have to, Mahomes may have to throw the football here today. Freeman, what do you think about that? Chiefs scoring 30 points. I also want to get your thoughts if you think Washington can kind of keep pace here today, because maybe Taylor Heinicke can be a sneaky little second quarterback for some people out there, or in DFS as well.
Yeah, I do like that call on the over for the Chiefs. I think the over for the game is also a pretty decent bet. And yeah, that leads to the point of Taylor Heinicke, going against a Chiefs defense that has just given it up to every quarterback it has faced. And granted, you can look at the quarterbacks they've played and say, like, okay, that's a really good slate of quarterbacks that they've gone against. But all of those quarterbacks have still performed above their seasonal average when they have played the Chiefs. So it's not just that those quarterbacks are great, it's that the Chiefs defense has really underwhelmed. And so it puts Taylor Heinicke, who has been a low-end QB1 since he started in week 2, it puts him in an ideal streaming situation, DFS situation. He looks like whatever kind of mode of fantasy you're playing, it looks like he's in a strong position with this matchup. So I do like the situation for him. Terry McLaurin banged up, but it looks like he's going to play. I think this is a good situation for him. I like that. And in terms of the bet that I'm making, I'm sticking with the AFC West, looking at the Broncos-Raiders game, and I'm going under 44. Both of these teams are top 10 in defensive expected points added per play. Both teams are pretty good at getting after the quarterback. The Raiders especially are better in the secondary than I expected that they would be entering the season. Casey Hayward Jr. has reemerged as above average at worst cornerback, but maybe kind of getting back to the form that he had in his earlier years with the Chargers. And then on offense, I think both of these teams are regressing a little bit. Obviously, no John Gruden calling plays for the Raiders. I think, that will take them some time to adjust to. The Broncos, they have Teddy Bridgewater back, but with him, they're playing a little more methodically, more conservatively. And so I think that sort of diminishes their range of outcomes in terms of what they could do. We're not going to expect a lot of offensive fireworks with Teddy Bridgewater as the quarterback there. And then a divisional game, those tend to be played pretty tight and close. All of that, to me, lends to the under. So that's where I'm going. Broncos Raiders under 44.
Yeah, I have that one in the bet tracker too, as one of my favorite plays from Mean Streets earlier in the week. I'm looking. That's one of the things I'm going to keep my eye on though with this Raiders squad. Like, what are they going to do on offense? How are they going? Are they going to change at all? Because Carr was throwing the football quite a bit to start the season. Is he going to continue to throw? They're going to lean on the run game. I also think that this is a Javonte Williams breakout game here today, fellas. I think we're going to finally see it from him. Hopefully, fantasy teams could certainly use him. I'm going to go. I don't know if this is a sucker bet or not. I don't have a lot of crazy analysis on this. Baltimore and LA, it opened up at 48. It's now 51.5. Both quarterbacks are just on the top of their games. I mean, Herbert and Lamar. And I'm not just pulling this stat out of my butt here. I saw this at ESPN Stats and Info. This is pretty cool. Second matchup in league history, which both quarterbacks are coming off 400-yard games and 4 touchdowns in their previous game. I'm not impressed with either defense. My one fear that I don't know if we can get to the over here, and I am backing the over, is that maybe Baltimore just runs, right? You can run on LA. We've seen that before. It's almost like the Chargers just say, okay, fine, go ahead and run on us. I mean, they're 31st in rush DVOA. They've allowed a league high 157 rushing yards per game. We know about the Ravens. Last week, they didn't really run against the Colts. They tried so hard to tie that record a couple weeks ago to get that 4 or 5 yards that they needed. And then they said, nah, we just don't need to run here. Now they got behind against Indy and they had to throw the football. They could get behind in this game here. Like the way that Herbert is playing, how efficient they are. Now I think we'll see some regression from their 4th down play calling. They've been almost perfect on that, but that's besides the point. 13 touchdowns for Herbert, 3rd most in the NFL, 11 over the last 3 games. That's the most in the NFL. And Lamar Jackson just showed us last week. I think answered a lot of questions that people had is, can the Ravens be a team that can play in that shootout game? Can Lamar Jackson, throw the ball 30 plus times and keep pace with another team that's scoring on their team on offense. And to me, he showed that he could do that. Marquise Brown has had a phenomenal start to the season. Mark Andrews is in a really good spot against the Chargers defense that struggles against tight ends. And if they do lean on the run here a little bit, I think they'll have success running that football. Eliot, I want to get your thoughts because you're into the Chargers. I think we all are. Last week we talked about them at length. We all had them to beat Cleveland. And I think what we said is if the game is on the line at the end and Herbert has the ball, he's going to find a way to get it done. And that's kind of what we saw. Are you in on this total? Is it too high? What do you think?
No, I really like it. I think your point about the fact that the Chargers basically dare you to run against them and that they really try to limit big plays. That's their whole thing is they try to force everything underneath. So we'll see how Lamar adjusts to that. He's been phenomenal, but a huge part of his success has been deep shots with Marquise Brown, right? So if the Chargers are able to take that away, we'll see how that goes. But the Ravens' defense is abysmal. And the Chargers were a team we talked about starting in week 3, regressing to the mean in terms of they didn't really put up the points, but they had all the opportunities in weeks 1 and 2. Now we're seeing them. Obviously, they're not going to drop 47 points every week. But I like the over. I like the Chargers in this game. I think the market is not adjusting quickly enough to how good the Chargers are, right? Like being 2-point favorites against the Browns last week, 3-point home favorites against the Raiders. I think we've seen a slow adjustment to the Chargers. And I bet them at 25-1 to be the highest scoring team of the entire slate. Nice. So the thing that I love about the Chargers, and if you have their overs, is that Brandon Staley understands not just basic math, which is an accomplishment for NFL head coaches, but legit analytics and the legit understanding of the reason why you do everything. And he's going to be aggressive and he's going to go for it on 4th downs in situations that either add more points for his team or add more points for the other, right? So I love their aggressive mindset. They don't try to settle for field goals. They go for touchdowns. That's great for overs. So I really like that call.
You know what? It was so refreshing to see them. I think they were on their 12 or their 13 on 4th and 7 and down 2 scores early in the 3rd quarter. If they don't get that, you figure they're down 3 scores. At least Cleveland gets a field goal there. They didn't care. They're just like, you know what? We got a play here that we feel comfortable rolling and running, and they got it, and they moved the football up the field. It's kind of refreshing to see that kind of football, Eliot.
They're one of the only teams that play to win, not play not to lose.
Yeah, and then you saw Cleveland in that game play to basically lose. Like they weren't as aggressive when they could have closed out that game.
Teams are so scared of what you were supposed to do forever, despite the fact that math, like look at the game with the Eagles against the Bucks, right? They go for 2 and everyone's like, why on earth would you go for 2? Because it increases your win probability. Like we need graphics up on every 4th down, on every 2-point conversion, all that kind of stuff of if you go for 2 versus if you don't, if you go for it, if you don't, because we need to get more people in the mindset of why this works. But honestly, people not being in that mindset probably continues to add value to the Chargers because Brandon Staley right now, I'll take against almost any coach in football with the way the Chargers are making their decisions.
Yeah, he says something every week that I have to kind of rewind and watch again. And I'm just, I'm really impressed with what's going on with the Chargers here. Freedman, we'll throw to you first. What do you got for our prop for us here?
All right, I'm looking at Najee Harris going over 71.5 yards rushing. We have the Steelers at home favored, so I think they're going to lean on the running game against the Seahawks team that is without Russell Wilson. So I think it will be hard for them really to put the Steelers in a position where they have to throw the ball. And the Seahawks are number 1 in most carries allowed to running backs, number 2 in most rushing yards allowed to running backs. Jonathan Taylor, he didn't clear the 71.5 yard mark in week 1, but he did have 17 carries. He did lose 9 carries to Nyheim Hines. Harris isn't in the position of having a secondary back who is going to steal carries from him. He's going to get the entire workload. And then we can look at all of the other running backs who have faced the Seahawks this season. They have crushed 71.5 yards rushing. Derrick Henry, that's obvious. Derrick Henry crushes everyone, but he still did it. And then Alexander Madison, backup running back, 26 carries, 112 yards. Trey Sermon, 4th string running back, right? 19 carries, 89 yards. And then Darrell Henderson last week, 17 carries, 82 yards, was injured for a chunk of the game. I just think this is even with an offensive line that isn't all that great at creating running lanes, creating extra yards for him, I still think this is a spot where Najee Harris crushes 71.5 yards through sheer volume.
Yeah, Najee Harris leads every running back in the NFL in snaps with 280. Next up is Derrick Henry at 264. So he's going to be on the field quite a bit here today. Eliot, what do you got for us?
Yeah, I love that call on Najee Harris, and I also think that it's really important to say that Matt picked a player that's going to play more than 4 snaps that we get to have a prop.
Right.
So I think it's a pretty big moment on the show.
Like I was tempted to go with Foster Moreau, but I didn't want to do that to you guys.
Mercedes Lewis, first prop bet of the season. Everyone's like, wait, what? Hit though. I love this one, and it's probably not a traditional bet, but Jamar Chase longest reception over 26.5 yards. So I was on this last week against the Lions with Justin Jefferson. Chase has had a reception of 34 or more yards in every single game this season. He's seeing the second highest air yard share of any player in the NFL at 46%. The Bengals are passing at a 12% higher clip in neutral situations the last 2 weeks as we see Joe Burrow get more comfortable. Not to mention Mixon's going to play, but definitely has an ankle issue. No backup running back, Samaje Perine. Chris Evans is more of a pass catching back than pure running back. I think they're going to throw a lot, and there's a lot of reasons to throw on the Detroit Lions, who are allowing the highest adjusted completion percentage in the NFL. They are allowing the highest ADOT in the NFL. They are allowing the highest yards per attempt in the NFL. They're allowing 46% of their deep passes to be completed against them. And air yards, both down the sidelines, right sideline and left sideline, ADOT per attempt is 26 yards, over 26 yards. So, and that's what Chase is too. So Chase is going to get multiple deep shots in this game against a team that can't cover deep, that just gives up big plays, and the Bengals are throwing more and more. I love over 26.5 for Jamar Chase today for longest reception.
Dude can catch, right? I think everybody overreacted about practice. That's all I heard heading into the season. Practice. You can't catch. I like Joe Burrow to have a big game too. I think I got him in, 282 passing yards. I think he can get up to over 300, as you mentioned with the Lions. And it's just taking a look at our wide receiver quarterback matchup tool over at FTN Daily, FTNFantasy.com, and seeing that there's 2 wide receivers that have plus matchups inside the top 10, but all 3 have phenomenal matchups in there as well. I really do dig that call, Eliot. For me, I am going to talk about a backup tight end, but he's now a starting tight end, Freedman. It's Ricky Seals-Jones, 3.5 catches. I even like the over here for his yards at 39.5. So last week he played 82 of 83 snaps for Washington, the most on the team. He ran 42 routes, which was 1 behind Terry McLaurin. Freedman talked about McLaurin. It looks like he's going to play, but who knows how limited he'll be. It doesn't even really matter if he's a full go or not, because they're just running out of bodies in Washington. We like the Chiefs to score some points. We don't like Kansas City's defense. I honestly don't think that they'll be able to turn this around this year. I just don't think they have the personnel. They've allowed a lot of points so far this season. Logan Thomas is on IR. Diami Brown, Curtis Samuel, these guys are sidelined. They're not going to play. Heck, you could even get involved, I think, with Adam Humphries at 2.5 grabs and 32.5 receiving yards. He had 3 catches for 73 yards last week. Washington's going to have to throw the football here. Ricky Seals-Jones has a role. He had a touchdown when he was backing up Logan Thomas earlier in the season against the Giants, and really Kansas City. And it's tough to say this because they have played some decent tight ends this season, but they have struggled against the position. I mean, Dawson Knox kind of lit them up. He was just wide open a couple times last week. They forgot about him. He had 117 yards. Zach Ertz went 6 for 60, and Dallas Goedert went 5 for 56. Mark Andrews, obviously a pretty good tight end, 57 yards on 5 grabs, and David Njoku had 76 yards on them in week 1 as well. So I am in on Ricky Seals-Jones, guys. It's what it's come to. I never thought that I would come in here with a prop. My favorite prop of the day is Ricky Seals-Jones to have 4 grabs. I think he catches 5 or 6 balls here, and he may creep up to the 70-yard mark for even.
I love it. I absolutely love it. If this were Logan Thomas, and I don't think there's really a big difference between Logan Thomas and Ricky Seals-Jones. If this were Logan Thomas, the line would be 4.5 easily. So I think you're getting some value here. And then just 2 words, Daniel Sorensen. That's all you have to say. Like, that guy is just letting tight ends go off against him.
Yeah, he is.
Both of Washington's tight ends didn't play tight end in college. Not relevant to this bet, but Ricky Seals-Jones is a 5-star wide receiver recruit, and Logan Thomas is a 5-star quarterback recruit. And somehow these guys are competing for snaps at tight end on this team.
The thing that I'd like, what I saw last week was just very similar to Logan Thomas. I think before he suffered that injury, I believe they were playing the Falcons, he had played 100% of his team snaps. Like, nobody else in football had played 100% of his team snaps. Maybe that had something to do with the injury. Maybe they had to ease him off the field a little bit. But the fact that he played 82 of 83 is kind of taking that role as well. Is that, listen, you're just out there for almost every single offensive snap, and away you go. Eliot, we got about a minute here before Freedman has his AMA, sponsored by Jock Market. What do you got for us? Finish this off strong. You got some Sunday special. I know you mentioned the Chargers, but you got something else for us?
Yeah, I like the Chargers 25-1. I got Jamar Chase at 23-1 to lead the day in receiving. And I'll give you a same game parlay. You talked about how much you love the Bengals. I'm right there with you. Joe Burrow over 282, Chase over 75, Higgins over 60, and both Higgins and Chase score touchdown. I pays that at 21-1. That's legit, just like a DFS game stack of the Bengals offense. That pays that at 21-1, and then you don't have to worry about whether or not Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson or Justin Herbert completely sunk your Joe Burrow lineups. I really like that bet at 21-1.
Yeah, that's appealing for sure. Okay, ftnbets.com/pricing. Get on this. FTN wins. It gets you a 10% discount. It's not just going to be our NFL picks. Everybody at FTN, as well as everyone across every single sport, helping you out there as well. And a reminder, the optimizer is free. MLB, it is free. Get the playoffs still going on here, so take a look at that. And the NBA season tips off on Tuesdays too. So check out FTN Daily and ftnbets.com/pricing for more. Make sure you ask all those questions for Freedman. And we got Alex Blickel and we got our guy Derek Brown. Sunday NFL DFS Live, powered by FTN, to help you set those lineups. So for Matthew Freedman, Chris Meaney here, and Eliot Crist, good luck on this Sunday. Any questions, hit us up in the Discord channel. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers.